Let's start with the easy level. Guess the bone, the humerus, which is the largest organ in the human body. The skin, which organ pumps blood around the body? The heart. What connects muscles to bones? Tendon. How many chambers are in the human heart? Four. Guess the organs? The kidneys. Which part of the brain helps control balance? The cerebellum. Where is the patella located? In the knee. Which blood cells mainly defend the body against infection? White blood cells. Adults normally have more bones than babies. False. Which blood cells carry most of the oxygen around the body? Red blood cells. Which bone forms the lower jaw? The mandible. Which organ produces bile? The liver. What are the joints between the bones of the skull called? Sutures. Which muscle is mainly responsible for breathing? The diaphragm. Guess the organ? The pancreas. Which blood vessels carry blood away from the heart? Arteries. Which vitamin can the skin produce with the help of sunlight? Vitamin D. How many lobes does the right lung have? Three. The left lung is slightly smaller than the right lung because the heart takes up space on the left side. True. Next up, the medium level. Let's turn it up a notch. Where are the alveoli found? In the lungs. Which organ stores urine before it leaves the body? The bladder. Which structure protects the spinal cord? The vertebral column. Which enzyme in saliva begins the digestion of starch? Amylase. What is the hardest substance in the human body? Tooth enamel. Guess the bone? The pelvis. Which organs filter the blood and produce urine? The kidneys. What type of muscle makes up the heart? Cardiac muscle. How many cervical vertebrae are there? Seven. Veins always carry deoxygenated blood. False. Next up, the medium level. Let's turn it up a notch. Guess the organ? The spleen. Which gland is shaped like a butterfly and is located in the neck? The thyroid. What are the bones of the fingers and toes called? Phalanges. Which blood components help form clots? Platelets. Which organ absorbs most nutrients from digested food? The small intestine. What smooth tissue covers the ends of bones inside many joints? Cartilage. What is the colored part of the eye called? The iris. Which organ produces insulin? The pancreas. Which bone is found in the upper arm? The humerus. The skin belongs to the integumentary system. True. Which part of the ear contains structures that help with balance? The inner ear. Which organ processes and detoxifies many substances in the blood? The liver. What carries electrical messages between the brain, spinal cord, and the rest of the body? Nerves. Which type of joint allows the widest range of movement? A ball and socket joint. Guess the organ? The gallbladder. Which teeth are mainly used for tearing food? The canines. Which muscle separates the chest cavity from the abdominal cavity? The diaphragm. Where is the ulna found? In the forearm. What is the liquid portion of blood called? Plasma. The cornea normally contains blood vessels. False. Here comes the hard level. Now we're getting serious. Which organ stores bile until it is needed? The gallbladder. Which part of the eye controls how much light enters by changing the size of the pupil? The iris. Which tiny blood vessels connect arteries to veins? Capillaries. Guess the bone? The sternum. How many pairs of cranial nerves do humans have? Twice. Which part of the brainstem helps control automatic functions such as breathing and heartbeat? The medulla oblongata. Which tube carries urine from each kidney to the bladder? The ureter. Which muscle at the front of the upper arm helps bend the elbow? The biceps. What is the voice box called? The larynx. The femur is located in the thigh. True. Which bone is commonly called the collarbone? The clavicle. Which tube carries food from the throat to the stomach? The esophagus. What is the largest artery in the human body? The aorta. How many bones make up the adult human skull? Which flap helps prevent food from entering the airway when swallowing? The epiglottis. Guess the organ. The appendix. Where are the adrenal glands located? On top of the kidneys. Which pigment is mainly responsible for the color of our skin? Melanin. Which section of the spine is located in the chest and upper back? The thoracic spine. The small intestine is shorter than the large intestine. False. In adults, where are most new blood cells produced? Red bone marrow. Which part of the brain plays an important role in forming new memories? The hippocampus. Which bone forms the heel of the foot? The calcaneus. What is the transparent front surface of the eye called? The cornea. Which organs remove carbon dioxide from the blood? The lungs. Which forearm bone is located on the thumb side? The radius. What fluid helps reduce friction inside many movable joints? Synovial fluid. How many permanent incisors does an adult normally have? Eight. Where is the cochlea located? In the inner ear. Mature human red blood cells normally contain a nucleus. False. Which organ helps T cells mature and is most active during childhood? The thymus. Which part of a neuron usually carries signals away from the cell body? The axon. Which organ produces hydrochloric acid to help digest food? The stomach. How many thoracic vertebrae are in the human spine? Title 1. What membrane surrounds the lungs? The pleura. Guess the organ? The uterus. What are the small bones of the wrist called? Carpals. Which blood type is generally considered the universal recipient for red blood cell transfusions? A+. Which muscle is located at the back of the upper arm? The triceps. The liver is located mostly on the right side of the upper abdomen. True. Which part of the digestive system stores stool before it leaves the body? The rectum. What is the outermost layer of the skin called? The epidermis. Which gland is often called the master gland because it controls many other endocrine glands? The pituitary gland. What connects one bone to another bone? Ligaments. Which chamber of the heart pumps oxygen-rich blood into the aorta? The left ventricle. Guess the organ? The stomach. How many bones are in one adult human hand? (20 Which structure carries messages between the brain and much of the rest of the body while running through the spine? The spinal cord. What are the tiny hair-like structures that help move mucus out of the airways? Cilia. Humans have 4 basic tissue types: epithelial, connective, muscle, and nervous tissue. True. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more daily challenges.